So I'll just close that, and let's go ahead and open our proposed storm sewer plan application. So the first thing it's doing is reading that D&C Manager database to load pay items. And you may see it occasionally say not responding on there, like just popped up briefly. Just go ahead and wait. It'll go ahead and go on through. I don't know what causes that not responding message to occasionally show up. Okay, the dialog has 3 modes of operation, and it defaults to the 604 items, and that's what we'll start with. And of course, it's reading my active working directory to get any GeoPack GPK files that it finds in there. So that's the proper one for my demo. And let me go ahead and pick the chain we want to use. We want to use our centerline proposed Interstate 75. And in the file that I'm in, you can see I've got a lot of drainage information already drawn. I also have my plan view information referenced. And one of the things I like to do, if you look at my reference settings for my plan view information, I've set the transparency to 80%. So that's what's causing it to fade in the background, and all my drainage information really pops out at me so I can see what I'm working on easier that way. Okay, so I'm going to place a few additional catch basins in here. So I've got some notes here, what I want to put in. So station 414 plus 50. I'm at the center line, so offset of 0. I'm going to place a catch basin number 8. So there's all my items read from my D&C Manager database. And the grade elevation for that's 871. And our invert is 868.48. And if I want to, I can assign a reference number to this. I'm just going to go ahead and give it a D-1. And there's 4 rotation options, I guess, 5 rotation options available for this. I can have it relative to the selected center line, tangent plus 180, radial plus 180, or by setting an angle. So I'm just going to leave that at tangent and go ahead and place it in the file. And that popped in right there at station 414 plus 50. So I'm going to go add 2 more. So the next one's at station 415 plus 16.19. Again at the center line. Grade elevation of 870.87 and an invert of 868.23, and we'll call this one D-2 for our reference number. That's also a catch basin number 8, and we put 1 more in at 416 plus 00. That's center line. 871.07 is our grade elevation, and 868.55 is our invert, and we'll call this one D-3. So I've got 3 new structures in there, and if you make a mistake, there's an edit function in here. So if I pick the edit 604 item button, notice it clears out my fields up here, and actually, for that matter, I can be on any item here. So let me change items and pick edit. Click one of my cells and accept it. And you can see that it's gone and found the proper pay item of what was placed, and it's repopulated the values here. So if I needed to change an elevation or a reference number, or maybe even just change it to a different structure, I'll use the as per plan. I can make those changes and then replace that back in the file. Okay, so then there's buttons here for selecting inlets and manholes, and then you can do the same, placing those in the file. Guess I should mention, for completeness, there's a data point function here where I can come out and dynamically pick the location where I want that to be placed in the file. So sometimes if you're laying some things out preliminary and not sure exactly what station it's going to be at, you can use the dynamic and just put it in the general area, and then come back later and edit that to refine its station and offset and whatnot. Okay, now let's look at the other 2 modes. So next mode I want to look at is the 603 items. And this is what's going to allow me to place pipes between structures, or outlet pipes with a station and offset. And I can see I've got a little problem with the font size here on the dialog on the laptop display, so I'll patch that up for our next release, and hopefully that won't be overlapping like that. But I need to start with my upstream structure going to downstream, so I have two ways to select that, by a structure or by station and offset values. If I'm going to do it by selecting a structure, that structure has already been placed in the file, and I'll go ahead and pick the button here to select it, and I'll pick one of my cells and accept it, and it's read the information from that cell. And so I'm going to place a pipe in here. The invert's going to be 868.48 for my starting point, and my downstream location I'm also going to identify by a structure and give the invert at the downstream location. And now I'm ready to pick my pipe from the list. So this is going to be a 15-inch type C, so I'll change it to type C, and I'll find the 15-inch in the list, and I'm ready to place that in the file. One of the things I'm going to mention here is the reference number was automatically filled for me. The reference number for the pipe is always taken from the upstream location. So if you have a value assigned, it will use that for the same reference number for the pipe. There's a key in field here. If I want to enter a supplemental description, I can just type that in, and that's stored with an attribute with the pipe. So I'll go ahead and place this in the file, and you can see it's drawn that between my two structures there. The pipes are drawn from center to center. So if I tentative point to this pipe, you'll see it highlight will go to the center there of the structure. So that's a little different than the existing applications. If you've worked with our existing drainage applications, there are little node points here, active points on the 4 connection points for this cell. And instead of using those node points, we elected to go center to center on the pipes because that's typically the way people compute their quantities, is from center to center. Okay, so I'm ready to start and place the next pipe, and what I'm going to do is come from this one, and it's coming across to this manhole. So this is my upstream location, and it's coming down there and outletting into that manhole. So that was my D-2 structure, and there's a green arrow here in the center. What I can do is select that, and it just takes that information and moves it over to be my upstream location. So I can go ahead and select my downstream location and then type in my invert information here. So we've got an 868.23 at this end and an 860.8 at the outlet end. And again, the reference number is read from the upstream location, and then I can select my pipe here. Well, this is going to be a type B, also a 15-inch. Place that in the file. And just to finish this piece up, I'm going to select this and this is my upstream and downstream. Give it my invert information. And this is a type C 15-inch also. Place that in the file. Okay, just like on our 604 items, there's an edit function here. And the edit function does quite a bit of information for us. If I pick maybe this one and accept it, it does a couple things. It goes and finds the proper item. That was a type B, so it went. I was on type C, the previous pipe, so it went to the correct pay item. And it's also read the structures that this joins into and automatically brought those two in here. So if I needed to make a change, maybe change an invert elevation or reference number, or maybe this is an as per plan item for some reason, I can make that change and then place it in the file. Now let's take a look at using the by station option. So what I'm going to do is move to the end of this run, and I'm going to place a pipe coming off this manhole and then outletting over here. So my upstream location would be the manhole, so I'll go ahead and select that. And my outlet is going to be by a station and offset. And there's the values that I keyed in previously, so it's retained my previous values, but no, that isn't the values I want, so I need to change those. So relative to my center line of Interstate 75, I want to outlet this at station 420 plus 50 and 105 feet to the right. And we give the invert information, 859 at the manhole, and we're going to outlet to 858.04. And this one is going to be a type C, and it's a 60-inch. We find that in the list, and you go ahead and place that. So that's how you use the by station option, and you can have open-ended pipes with specifying the station at each end, or going inlet into a structure by selecting the structure there. Okay, so I think that's everything I need to cover on the 603 mode. So let's look at the 602 mode. So I'm going to put a head wall on here. I've got a list of head wall cells that are available, and then the 2 pay items that can be available for that. So I'll pick my pay item, and I need to find the proper head wall for my 60-inch pipe. And I thought I just saw it. There we go. I think that's the one I want. Let me look at my list. No, that's not the one I want. There we go. That's the one I want, the HW 1.1-60. And I need to pick which chain this is relative to. So let me get my center line of 175. And again, I can key in a reference number. Is the pipe material concrete or steel? I need to select that here. And if I picked an item that would allow me to define the parameters there, I could key those in. This one won't allow me to do so. So I'll go ahead and click place, and this operates a little differently. I need to select the line element that's going to be used to place this, so I'll just select that. And now I can see the head wall is floating, and as I move my cursor near to one end to the other, it's going to automatically display it on the nearest end to my cursor. So I want to put that over here with a data point to accept it. And again, there's an edit option on here where I could go select that, and it'll find the proper information of what you selected, and if I need to make a change as per plan, I can change these values if I need to, and then place that in the file. Okay, so that covers the operation of the dialog. Let's look a little bit behind the scenes at what it's doing to store this information in the file. So I mentioned that the plan view information is all stored in the design file. It does not use the COGO database to store any of these, any of the information for these pipes or structures. So what I want to do under my road tools workflow here, I'm going to pick the application attribute viewer, identify civil element button, and I'm going to start by picking one of the catch basins I placed. So there's the attributes that are associated with that graphic. So it's tagged it with the DNC manager attribute, which is the pay item number, and then there's a group of ad hoc attributes. Ad hoc attributes are attributes that are defined by me as the programmer. They're a geopack function, and it's just information stored on an element. And there's 2 types of ad hoc attributes. It can be a string value or it can be a numeric value. So you can see some of these attributes are strings and some are numeric. So I've given the attribute a name. ODOT _drainage is an attribute. It's a string, and its value is true. So the programs just use that to look at a cell and determine whether it's to be included as part of our drainage stuff or not. So the chain name is stored with it, the reference number, my flow line of my grate, and my invert elevation. A label is assigned to it, which is used in the plan view or the profile or the cross-section mode, and then a description field that was unused on this one. So that's the attributes that are stored on either a catch basin or manhole or inlet. So if I look at this manhole, you'll see the same attributes, just different values. Now, the pipes have more information stored with them just because of the nature of the element type there. So there's a couple additional attributes here, one for the inlet and outlet elevation. The size and type are stored separately, again, for labeling options. The rise and span values are stored separately. So it's a circular, they're the same. If it had been an elliptical pipe, you'd see the different values. And then, again, a description string that was not used on this one. And then the last thing I should mention is the attributes stored with the head wall. So let's go ahead and look at that. And it has a few different parameters here, some dimensions that come off of our standard drawings. And those dimensions are used for when this is drawn in the profile or drawn in the cross section. So that's just some things that are coded in there for that grafting part of the applications. You'll also see some quantities here for this. These are the values that were showing up in there. Those are written to the head wall item, and those are used later in the computation process. So I just wanted to take a minute or two and just kind of review some of the attributes that are stored with these. And those attributes are the key to all these applications. And then the editing functions are how you can go in and make changes to these, and all the attributes are updated as you replace the information.